Hi, this is MoviePlot and the short film Never Walk in the Snow. The cops are looking for a missing photographer in the woods who has captured something unusual. The film, about Friday the 13th, begins in winter, somewhere in the deep woods of the farthest reaches of the forest. A boy in a yellow jacket is running along a snow-covered riverbank. He hurries as if he is trying to outrun Usain Bolt himself. But it's not the Olympic champion's laurels that keep him going, it's the way he looks around that's got him spooked. He hears a car horn honking nearby, and he scrambles through the woods trying to figure out where it's coming from. At that time, a big boy in a hockey mask, simple and modest homicidal maniac JASON VURHIS, emerges from a tree behind him. Instead of his trusty machete, he brought an exotic long-range toy, a bow and arrow, to play with. Turning around, the guy in the yellow jacket notices his pursuer. He rushes off in terror, trying to escape, but Jason, taking a heavy step into the snow, turns on his inner Legolas, draws his bowstring, and takes aim and fires. The guy falls into the snow with an arrow sticking out of his thigh, piercing through his leg. While Jason switches his weapon from bow to the more familiar cleaver, the victim crawls away. The wounded lad notices a car nearby. But the gloomy killer, who had been approaching him leisurely, decided to play hide-and-seek and disappeared. But then, as if to apologize for his infantile, unworthy of a horror icon, Voorhees appears from behind a tree and delivers a savory blow. As the victim takes his last breaths in agony with an axe in his face, a nearby car alarm beeps. The bored Jason's attention shifts to the car. He opens the trunk and throws out the backpack, then grabs the dead man by the leg and drags him like a plush toy into the woods, not even bothering to take out the axe. In the next scene, the police are already on the scene. Sheriff Rick Cologne himself examines the bloody scene in the disturbing light of the red and blue lights. Deputy Alan Mabry informs the boss that the car is registered to one Diane Hill, her son, Mark, a 17-year-old teenager who was to pick up his mother from work that evening. After telling Alan to clean up the crime scene, the sheriff sets off to talk to the woman. But the cops are not even aware that a suspicious man in a hooded jacket is watching them from behind the trees. He takes a keen interest in the scene of the massacre, cursing someone in his heart in between. Hearing Alan approaching, the stranger disappears into the night. The policeman is sprinkling salt on the bloody snow to scare the beast away when a silhouette flashes behind him. Alan hears a suspicious scraping near the car, and, turning around, sees a mysterious hooded man. He runs off, barely a cop calls out to him and rushes forward. But after scaring the stranger away, Alan sees a message scratched on the hood of the squad car, Jason. Sheriff Cologne visits Diane Hill to tell her about the found car and her missing son. Despite the tears, the old man needs to ask the distraught woman a few questions, that's the job. During the interrogation, she recalls seeing her son in the morning, when his heart was still pumping blood, wearing a yellow jacket and taking a backpack. He is going for a walk in the woods under the falling refreshing snow. It also turns out that Mark had brought his camera. Photography was his hobby. But he didn't have any friends in the city yet. They had recently moved away and the guy just hadn't had time to get to know anyone. This leads one to believe that the young man had no time to make enemies, either. After the conversation, the sheriff asks permission to look around the boy's room. Maybe he is hiding something from his mother that will lead him to the trail. On the boy's desk, the sheriff finds a map of the area with a marked area in the woods. Attached to the map is a photo of Crystal Lake, which causes the cop to sigh with regret. Secretly, so the mistress won't notice, Cologne hides the map behind his groove when the phone rings. The deputy calls the boss on an urgent matter. As he leaves, the old man leaves the woman his card and assurances that they will do anything to find her son. Back in her son's room, Diane sits down at his computer, enters her password and looks at the photo she has opened on Photoshop. It shows her and Mark. She begins to cry with emotion. In the meantime, Mark's disfigured corpse is lying somewhere in the cabin. Jason tosses his backpack and camera next to him, and another flashback begins. The young man wanders in the middle of the abandoned Crystal Lake summer camp, photographing the most evocative elements of the desolation. In one picture, in the darkness behind a broken window, he accidentally captures someone's blurry face. The owner of the face, unhappy with the pesky paparazzi's attention to his humble persona, immediately swings the door open outside, and a frightened Mark manages to take his last photo, Jason Voorhees walking toward him. The maniac looks at the camera photo, then at his mother's desiccated head in the middle of the makeshift altar, as if asking, "Well, Mommy, did you make me look good?" Never getting an affirmative answer, Jason crumples the camera in his powerful clutches. He's about to leave when the ghostly voice of a still young and hot mommy makes him turn around. The ephemeral woman is reaching out her hands to her special boy. She removes his mask to make sure he is photogenic. The question is moot, of course, but mommy calls Jason handsome and embraces him, evoking fond memories from his childhood, when he hadn't yet turned into a Stakhanovite cadaver assembly line. A mysterious hooded man, armed with a shotgun, stands in front of the entrance to Camp Crystal Lake. When two police cars appear from behind, painting the surroundings in alarming red and dead blue, the man climbs over the fence and runs deep into the camp. Frustrated police officers have to go in pursuit. They catch the fugitive near the cabins. Alan knocked him down by knocking out his shotgun, and the sheriff took the man at gunpoint. While the deputy snaps the bracelets behind his back, the man shouts to the sheriff that he's a coward. Knowing full well what's going on here, he does nothing about it. Younger Alan is unaware of what or who the seniors are talking about. Already outside the camp, on the way out, the deputy asks his boss who this Jason, a local urban legend, is. But Cologne says this is neither the time nor the place to discuss it. He orders Alan to go home and enjoy the company of his family, but before he does, he adds the evidence to the report, documents the arrest and tows the perpetrator's car. He himself gets in the car, where a detainee named Jarvis, Jason's sworn enemy, relentlessly repeats that the maniac is back, and something must be done about it. Curious Alan, instead of obeying the order, sneaks back into the camp in the silvery moonlight. He wonders what the crazy old man was looking for here. With a shotgun and a flashlight in hand, he makes his way into one of the abandoned buildings, where no man has set foot in a long time. On the walls, like silent witnesses to better days, hang photographs of counselors and campers. It's been years since then. The beam of the flashlight brings out a pile of old hockey masks, scattered from a box on the floor. Alan is examining the mask when he is distracted by a noise somewhere behind the wall. He looks around the rest of the room, but finds nothing. Leaving the room, the deputy walks to the next building. He freezes in front of a closed door, pointing the barrel of his shotgun at it, when suddenly a phone call cuts through the thick, tense silence. It's a message from his wife. Alan records the answering voicemail and heads for the exit of the camp when his attention is drawn to the light on the second floor of a barn standing nearby. The policeman takes his time going to it, scaring away the gloom in front of him with the light of his flashlight. Inside, he finds an old workshop where children and counselors used to do manual labor. There are also stairs to the second floor. Turning off the lantern to sneak up suddenly like a ninja, Alan goes upstairs. There he sees a man kneeling in front of an altar with candles burning. In the middle of the altar is a desiccated human head, and next to it is the frost-covered, disfigured corpse of a teenager. Having recovered from his initial amazement, Alan acts as instructed. He identifies himself and tells the suspect to put his hands up. A gust of wind suddenly blows out all the candles, plunging the attic into total darkness. Alan, not being a fool, realizes that he should turn on a flashlight. However, in the flickering spot of light, the suspect is no longer there. He has silently hidden in total darkness. As Alan walks toward the stairs, Jason's hand appears from behind the curtain, grabs the barrel of a shotgun and points it at the policeman's head. He instinctively shoots, echoing the last chord of Kurt Cobain. The shot blows Alan's skull in half. The policeman's chest camera continues to record everything. Through it you see Jason standing over the body, staring at the next victim. Then he lifts his leg and slams it down with force, shattering the camera to smithereens. The screen goes dark, and that's the end of the movie.